Hello and welcome to our company session. Normally, we would have preferred to welcome you personally at our booth in Munich. These are crazy, unpredictable times. We need to adapt. But we in the logistics sector are used to that. Flexibility and adaptability are deep in our DNA. The challenges in our industry change daily.
Although I'm sadly not going to finish this year's conference with a bunch of pens and other freebies, we've got to look at the bright side. This evening, our feet won't be hurting from standing all day as they usually do during the Transport Logistics exhibition. Unfortunately, though, this means we won't be able to meet later today in the beer garden for some networking. However, we do have an innovative session planned to interact with you. More details will be shared a bit later. We'd like to start with a short video clip and discuss some of the topics that are currently shaping our strategy. Let's roll it.
We will continue to make change happen. And we will make sure they will have to change.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the
The
U.S.
coronavirus that causes COVID-19.
What a video! There are some exciting topics there. It was interesting to see some pain points we all currently suffering. Before we start, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Melanie Sprick. I'm a senior sales manager for our Belgian market and specialized on the Antwerp region. And together with Tate, I'm hosting our company session.
My name is Tate Richards. My focus is with our large and multinational customers. Thank you for joining us today. We've got an exciting program lined up today. Here's an overview of what is to come over the next hour. We're going to start with a statement from the management board from Herbert Traxler. Then we'll move on to our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Stefan Iskan. Then we've got our sustainability part with Bernhard Heidacher. From there we move on to our Intermodal Network with Claudia Schusterreiter and Enrique Cerezo. And we've got our digitalization bit from Yasmin de Wachter and Samuel Alonso. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with our virtual networking, which has got an open end. We are now pleased to welcome Herbert Traxler, who will no doubt inspire us with some words of wisdom.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, Servus from Vienna. Wow, what a challenge 2020 was for all of us, private and in business. And it seems this year is even more demanding. However, such situations are always opportunities. One thing is for sure, we do not grow as a human being or as an organization when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges and solve them with passion, knowledge, and trusted business partners. So first of all, thanks for your trust to all stakeholders in the supply chain, with a special greeting to all our drivers, our great employees, our customers, and supply chain partners all over Europe. Change, safety, capacity, flexibility, and sustainability. These sound like buzzwords, but they become even more important in those times. At LKW, these are not simply catchphrases. These core demands from the industry are ingrained in our DNA. We transform those demands into values that drive us to be a trusted partner for all full truckloads in Europe. We are not content to base our actions on the success we have achieved over the previous decades. Our purpose, progress needs providers, pushes us to develop together with you new systems, processes, and ways of working to optimize the supply chain. For example, through predictive transport visibility, we will simplify all requested transport information. Additionally, we always remain focused on protecting the environment. Green transport for you and me. Green transport for our children and the planet. Therefore, we are not only concentrating on alternative fuels, but are continuing to invest in our pan-European intermodal network, as we have been doing already for the last 40 years. On top of our daily road activities, we are shifting trailers off the road onto rail and ferries across Europe. And this with more than 3,000 trailers a day. Our craneable trailer investment 2021 is one of the biggest in our company's history, and this should help to release the pressure on the market and encourage our customers to get their goods delivered in a green trailer solution. This will ease the biggest bottleneck when it comes to driver shortage. But you will receive much more detail in the coming hour from my colleagues. Regardless of all the advancements and tools available, one thing remains at the center of our operation. Transport is and will always be a people business. We are curious, we will listen to you, and together we will solve the challenges ahead of us. While a personal meeting is currently not possible, we invite you to join us directly after our presentation for live interaction with our team and our guest speakers. There you can feel the real power of LKW Alta. Use the opportunity to ask any questions that arise during our session. Stay healthy, and we look forward to meeting you in Munich in 2023, or meanwhile on our digital road and rail focus days across Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your message, Herbert. Now, let us move to the next part of our presentation. I'm happy to introduce our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Stefan Iskan, who looks back on 14 years of experience in the automotive and the logistics sector. He became Professor for Logistics and Business Informatics at the Ludwigshafen University in 2013. Today, he will present an honest overview of the current and the future challenges facing shippers and the transport industry.
We're undergoing very strange times, times that we all of us hadn't thought about at the very beginning of last year 2020. And perhaps most of the biggest issues driving across all sectors of society and business are two topics: sustainability and technology. But before driving into detail, let me just share with you some thoughts on the COVID-19 pandemic. It was in early February last year when I got a call from former logistics colleagues in China, and they gave me a good advice to be prepared for the COVID-19 pandemic here in Europe. This pandemic shows similar systemic consequences to pandemics in human history. Just to name a few from the historical perspective. First, more and more intervention from governments on markets and enterprises. Second, a rise of inflation, especially the asset inflation. Third, increasing gap between the poor and the rich, which means unequal incomes in society. A fourth one, it's the progress of technology. And that is something we could observe in any pandemic in human history. And now let's talk about the future industry. That is my industry and yours. It's transport and logistics. And I would like first to ask you, please go into a helicopter view and try to see the world from my eyes. And then you will realize that transport and logistics not longer is just a pure move of pallets from one to another side, even under full visibility and connectivity. To me, logistics is a geostrategic management issue becoming more and more relevant for societies, economies and markets. What's the relevance for our future industry, transport and logistics? For example, just have a look on the European transport logistics market. I do see a battle between the OEMs, between the telematic industry, between some startups, between the global freight forwarders with their platform initiatives, and also in the game are family-owned transport companies with all their subcontractors. And I will let you know the outcome. The outcome will be that a lot of that startups will disappear from the market. Some of them most likely will transform into a kind of software company. And the international ones, the international freight forwarders, they become a very highly skilled orchestrator of supply chains, but under the control of a platform. And that platform is not a single one. We will most likely see different platforms with different regional patterns. And let's have also a view on the contract logistics. There, of course, we see different market demands. We see more and more complexity coming from the industry customers, which will not only result in robotics and the intralogistics, it will also cause an increased demand for mankind, for blue collars. And on the other hand, we see the e-commerce. The e-commerce with their fulfillment centers, kind of dark warehouses with a lot of contribution to sustainability as less energy, light demand is required with a high level of robotics density. And the last example, what about the consumer in that game? The consumer, to my experience, most likely will transform to a kind of prosumer. The prosumer is part of the design, of the manufacturing of his product, and last but not least, also in the dimension of sustainability and the digital age, he will also become a part in kind of crowd shipping to move his own product to his home. And most of these challenges in our future industry in transport and logistics are analog. Just to name a few. We have a lack of truck drivers across all Europe. We have shabby, poor road freight infrastructure with a lack of parking slots across the European motorways. We have a liberalized railway infrastructure across Europe, but come on, we are not fully harmonized. What does that mean? For example, you wish to have your own railway operations. You get your tracking information, of course, in a digital way in a front end. But in back end, indeed, we have a lot of heavy manual work between all the countries, the railway operators, etc. But the intermodal business, frankly speaking, is one heavy approach to answer the lack of truck drivers on long distances as LKW Walter does. Further analog challenges are a need in upskilling when it comes to technological and change competencies on executive level as well as to the blue collar level. We do see a highly need for standardization, for example, in the interfaces. So everybody is talking about Industry 4.0, and to me, Industry 4.0, nothing else is it to supply chain management. It's a vertical and horizontal integration. That means we need openness, we need creativity among interfaces. But what we see is a lot of physical, analog, but also digital protectionism. Everybody is just interested in protecting his data, protecting his interfaces, etc. Let's come to sustainability. And to me, sustainability has three dimensions. One is the economic side. Of course, we are doing that all the time. But it's also the social dimension and the ecological dimension. Now, coming again to digitization or technology. And to my understanding, we will see a renaissance of the control tower concept. The control tower was already dead in the supply chains. Why? Because even the international freight forwarding industry was not able to run a very integrated story for you, my dear customers. And that's the result why you started cherry picking. It's the consequence of the failure of the international service providers. Of course, even they are in the same market like the family-owned business with all that limitations, the restrictions in the standardization efforts, the IT interfaces. I know that, and even you, my dear business customers, you are driving individualized concepts, which in consequence a lot of silo and different IT solutions in the companies. Anyhow, we will see that renaissance of a virtualized control tower concept in supply chain management. We will see the need for, as I call it, the industrialized real-time enterprise. And that kind of company, that is the future company. That's the only one I do believe in future. That is operating with an own platform, has its own trailer telematics, is carrying out on a very personal level its subcontractors, their drivers, they gave them credits, etc. They care personally on them. They have a data-driven business model, and you know, what are the 4 characters of a total nightmare competitor across all the industry? Data-driven, platform business, full control on interfaces, and last but not least, access to resources, which I mean financial ones and human beings. So that kind of industrialized real-time enterprise has full connection, full visibility, has cloud-based shared services oriented approach, has a virtualized organization, has data-driven competence, and it is matching tactical and operational network management under one control. To summarize that panel, connection and system integration is the keyword when it comes to Industry 4.0. But all we do here in the market, you, my dear business customers, and also the telematic industry, the software industry, the TMS industry, and even the OEM car makers, we play protectionism on the physical, analog, and digital way. So let's come back. The so-called old school transport and logistics industry has made successfully a lot of transformation over the last decades. We initiated web-based applications like tracking and tracing. We enabled vendor-managed inventory and contract logistics and so on. And now, in the second decade of the 21st century, we again observe protectionism still to continue the globalization, but with different regional patterns. We see the failure of international logistics service provider of their past. They have a lot of legacy IT systems in the TMS, and the last hope that is to acquire a startup, to have the chance with their web portal to get any chance at least to integrate their dead TMS. Anyhow, let's come to my conclusion. All that sustainable transformation, all that transformation into a digital age just can be managed by a strong and willed change leader. And change leaders that now reshape their organizational futures are in contrast to, as I call them, checkers. The checkers are the microcontrollers that will lose the pace and will not win the race for digital and sustainable transformation. To sum it up, technology, sustainability offers to all of us, to you, my dear business customers, to my industry, the transport and logistics industry, to the LKW Walter family, the technological and sustainable developments will give us a lot of opportunities. Please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Iskan, for your insights. Next up, we're going to move back in-house to hear from our head of ShiQ management, Bernhard Heidacher. Many of our customers know Bernhard from his tireless work to continuously raise quality and safety standards. Today, he'll be sharing some facts, figures, and vision on sustainability.
Good afternoon to everybody. Many thanks, Tate, for the introduction. The whole world is talking about the climate crisis. Climate protection, climate goals, and climate neutrality have become very powerful words. But who really takes initiatives to implement changes? We all have the responsibility, not just for our generation, but especially for the future generations, our children and grandchildren. Do global decision makers have enough awareness for that? A very valid question. Anyway, we from the transport industry have to take responsibility and have to act instead of just talking. One good news is that on European level, the environmental change has started. On December 9th last year, the European Commission presented the Sustainability and Smart Mobility Strategy. Franz Timmermans, Executive Vice President for the European Green Deal, has a clear view on the way forward. I quote, "In order to achieve our climate goals, we have to significantly reduce emissions from the transport sector. Today's strategy will change the way goods are moved in Europe. It will be easier to combine different modes of transport on a single trip. Freight transport will play an important role in the reduction of greenhouse gases. The European Sustainable Strategy includes 10 different key action points, so-called flagships. The 3 most relevant for freight transport are a change to inter- multimodality, shifting freight away from road, smart mobility, improving transport flows, and a strong focus on zero-emission vehicles and the necessary infrastructure using renewable fuels and building up the necessary infrastructure. Political moves are known not to be the quickest. That's why at LKW Walter, we are going our own ways. Back in the 90s, we started our sustainability program. Some important steps of our way to green transports are the following. In 1995, we implemented our environmental system, which in 1997 for the first time was assessed by SQAS, the Safety and Quality Assessment System of the chemical industry. In 2009, LKW Walter, as a founding member of the European Chemical Transport Association, so-called ECTA, joined the Responsible Care program. In 2016, our environmental management system was certified by ISO 14001. 3 years later, we joined the European Initiative Operation Clean Sweep with the target to reduce microplastic waste in the oceans on our planet Earth. In 2020, we started our cooperation with the European Clean Trucking Alliance, an initiative of the European Climate Foundation, with the clear target to push zero-emission transportation modes in Europe. In the LKW Walter organization, green thinking and acting is on the top position in the management and cascaded down on a daily basis to each individual employee. Mr. Michael Kreindaler, member of the LKW Walter board and responsible for the sustainability agenda, says, "It is our goal that all corporate activities are designed in such a way that the environment is protected as much as possible. Our strategy targets are fully in line with the European strategic goals. A strong focus on intermodal transport. We have to support the introduction of zero-emission trucks and smart mobility based on the digitalization of the supply chain. Due to investments in a strong focus on digitalization, LKW Walter was able to reduce empty mileage by 25% over the last 5 years. But what does it mean, 25%? In figures, we talk about 35 million kilometers non-driven and 30 million kilograms of non-produced CO2 emissions. 30 million kilometers are comparable to driving 875 times around our green planet Earth. Green transport at LKW Walter also means engagement in alternative fuel projects like liquefied natural gas, so-called LNG. Currently, 35 LNG trucks are already running in different projects throughout Europe. Our most recent project started at the beginning of this year with one of our largest customers in the automotive industry. Based on a 5-year contract, 7 LNG trucks are permanently running between Austria and the Czech Republic on round-trip basis, producing more than 1 million greener kilometers. Conventional LNG still is 100% fossil fuel, as we know, and not seen as very sustainable. The reduction in CO2 compared to diesel is very limited. The advantage is more on the reduction of other air pollutant like fine dust and the reduction of noise. Bio-LNG instead could bring considerable reductions in CO2 emissions, but the market startup is slow and it's not yet available for a scaled and economically reasonable use. LNG engines are seen as a bridge technology to zero-emission trucks. Hydrogenated vegetable oil, so-called HVO, biodiesel, is produced in a recycling process from human waste. There is a well-developed network in the Scandinavian countries, especially in Sweden. 1/3 of our Swedish trucking fleet is running on HVO. But on a European level, HVO does not play a large role. The demand and the fuel infrastructure is very limited. Talking about zero-emission trucks, Europe places a lot of hope into the electrification of the transport industry based on the following 3 technologies: battery-equipped vehicles, so-called BEV, catenary overland lines, so-called e-highways, and of course hydrogen fuel cells. But for none of these 3 technologies, heavy goods trucks with 40 or 40 tons capacity are available at the moment. All OEMs are heavily researching and developing with different announcements. The market entry of the first prototypes of heavy goods BEV vehicles for a long-haul transport are expected sometime between 2023 and 2025. Fuel cell trucks even later. A real mass market start which allows a scaled and economically viable use is expected not earlier than the end of this decade. Until then, for scaled mass transportation, they will not play a role on the European transport market. LKW Walter is in permanent exchange with the major OEMs. Our intention is to start projects as soon as a reasonable availability is given. With different mutual projects with our rail and short sea providers, LKW Walter is making the whole intermodal transport chain more sustainable. For example, our short sea partner Grimaldi Finnlines proves that electrification also plays an important role for sea transportation. They have started the first 2 hybrid Ro-Ro vessels and 12 more will follow. Powerful batteries are loaded by the streaming of the waves. Entering aboard, the fossil-based engines stop and the vessel is powered by batteries. Another positive effect on CO2 emissions, these new vessels are able to carry more trailers than the older ones. The following chart compares different fuels based on the CO2 emissions in kilograms per 100 kilometer. Compared to conventional diesel, LNG only shows up with very limited CO2 reductions. HVO biodiesel offers about 20% in reduction already. High reductions are expected from the future use of electrification. But as told, it's not there at the moment for our transportation segment and will not be available in the near future. Intermodal transportation, the green pillar in the chart, offers already today a CO2 reduction of around 60%. And this reduction is reality. And intermodal transportation is available now. As we have built up a pan-European intermodal network over the last 3 decades, today LKW Walter is the most experienced European player in this segment. Intermodal transport is green. It can be scaled and is available for reasonable market prices. My colleague Enrique Cerezo will talk about our intermodal solutions on a later stage. Many thanks for your attention. I'm very pleased to answer your questions after the end of our presentations in our virtual meeting room. And now I'm pleased to pass the word to Christian Tremmel, Head of Transportation Management Germany, from our partner WEPA. Mr. Tremmel, could you please give us a short statement? What way does WEPA go to be fit for future challenges of sustainability? Thank you.
Since its foundation in 1948, the WEPA Group has been a family-owned business oriented towards sustainability. Sustainability is firmly rooted in our corporate culture and is an integral part of our corporate strategy. Our holistic approach balances economic, ecological and social aspects. In 2013, we joined the non-profit initiative Lean and Green in order to promote ecological issues in the warehouse and logistic area as well and reduce the emissions of CO2. For example, sleeve diameters, packaging sizes and pallet heights were adapted to make optimum use of the loading volume of trucks, and approaches were developed in cooperation with our customers and forwarding agents to avoid empty runs. WEPA uses LKW Walter's Intermodal Network towards Austria, among others. From Austria, for example, we use the possibility of a load weight of 28.5 tons for the waste paper supply, and those avoid every 8th transport. Furthermore, we are in constant contact with LKW Walter and analyze possible routes for further expansion of the intermodal share, as intermodal is a great short to medium-term opportunity for shifting transport from road to rail in order to have a long-term positive impact on the environment.
Thank you. We are happy to hear that companies like yours take the issue of sustainability so seriously. We can be quite proud of the sustainable solution we are bringing to the market. We are enabling our customers to lower their CO2 emission now. Before we move on to our intermodal presentation, I would like to introduce our virtual networking event. Please use the link here to enter your room. Once you arrive, you only have to enable your camera and microphone, and then you will be able to converse with our staff as well as Professor Iskan live. When you enter the room, you can choose which topic interests you and with whom you would like to speak. Click and drag your avatar over to the desired topic or person, and then you can enter into conversation. We are there now, but I suggest listening to the remainder of the presentation and entering later. We still have some very exciting topics to discuss. Next up, we will be hearing from Claudia Schusterreiter and Enrique Cerezo about our intermodal network.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Enrique. Great video, great picture of the intermodal world.
Absolutely impressive developments.
Enrique, I'm curious. It has been a very special year. What has been, in your opinion, the biggest challenges of the last 12 months in our industry?
The last 12 months drove us through an emotional roller coaster. COVID-19 took the world we knew as a hostage. Lockdowns kept us home, putting our IT systems under pressure and ourselves as well, together with our families. Home office and homeschooling became part of our daily lives and gained a new meaning. Brexit came then to give us the last emotions we needed: closed borders, waiting times, COVID tests being demanded for our drivers to transit through areas once free of any kind of controls. But this opened doors as well to new opportunities, developing and learning to live with constant video conferences, virtual meetings, and be thankful for the massive investments of our company in the last 10 years in IT. Intermodal solutions gave us the chance to grow with our customers in such difficult times. But Claudia, we keep on hearing so much about the European Year of Rail. What does this exactly mean for our customers?
Well, the European Union has declared 2021 as the European Year of the Rail. The goal is putting the benefits of this mean of transport into the spotlight. We are glad the European Union finally is underlining the importance of one, if not the most innovative and safe way of moving people and goods in the continent. This initiative is part of the European Green Deal to achieve 90% reductions in transport emissions by 2050. Our company has been developing constantly new connections, being a pioneer in this field for over 30 years now. We are definitely an important player in this project. It is a really great initiative, and our business is considerable in this field.
Well, this is true. To put some figures in a nutshell, our customers made us to one of the biggest intermodal operators in Europe with over 12,000 runnable trailers of our property. Our teams organize daily over 300 company train departures and short sea solutions. LKW Walter runs 1/3 of its business already with intermodal connections and keep on creating new ones, plus increasing frequencies almost on a monthly basis at the moment. At the end of the presentation, we will show you a few new connections just being implemented. Together with our customers, our company saved in 2020 over 393,000 tons of CO2 and kept on reducing empty mileage, which at the end of the day is CO2 saved as well. And the growth is impressive.
Yes, absolutely. The development of our intermodal setup has been huge in the last years, 10% most of them, with an exponential growth and massive investments, up to 20 million euros yearly in new equipment. To give you an idea of the size of it, every year the CO2 filter effect of our intermodal business is the equivalent to 40,000 hectares, the size of the Garda Lake. It has been a constant development over the years.
The network of connections is dense, and we keep on developing it to reach further regions in Europe, where the infrastructure allows it. We engage private and public companies to increase our flexibility, organizing new train terminals to serve, in some cases, several countries to be able to reach the needed critical mass to fill up our company trains. The first connections in the north-south axle were established at the beginning of the 2000s. We started with our traditional road lanes from Italy to Germany and Scandinavia, transforming most of them into company trains very quickly, and extending the areas of influence to Benelux and France. About 10 years ago, we started to create lanes in our east-west, UK and Turkey corridors, taking advantage of improvements of the infrastructures of these countries, linked to massive investments done by multinational groups in production sites in the east, mainly automotive or white goods. And about the time as well, we created our Mediterranean intermodal business, including Morocco and Tunis, following the market's demand. In the meanwhile, many of these corridors are purely intermodal. Road solutions have lost weight due to commercial and environmental reasons, and our plans for the future are ambitious.
Yes, they are. We have implemented in January 2021 several new lanes and will be adding in the next months additional ones. Some examples. In January 2021, we established a company train from Germany Dresden to Germany Rostock with the areas of influence Eastern Germany, Poland, Czech Republic to Scandinavia. And another one in January from Czech Republic Brno to Germany Rostock with the areas of influence Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Austria to Scandinavia. The same applies for our new connections from Poland to Germany and from Germany to Italy. In February, we established a train from Poland Poznan to Germany Duisburg, where the areas of influence are Western and Mid-Poland to Benelux, Northern France and Western Germany. In March 2021, we started our company train from Germany Cologne to Italy Trieste, in this case to the direction Turkey. The areas of influence are there Benelux, North France, UK, Western Germany to the area of Turkey. This one is a very ambitious project. And further projects follow from Czech Republic to Italy and from Romania to Germany. Here the company train starts from Czech Republic Pasco to Italy Verona. Here the areas of influence are South Poland, Eastern Czech Republic to Italy. And we increase our weekly departures on our company train from Romania Curtici to Germany Herne. Here the areas of influence are Romania to UK, Benelux, Northern France, Western Germany, And a very last one on the pipeline at the moment will be starting a new connection from Italy to Benelux, where we expect to reach UK, Benelux, Northern France, and Western Germany. So definitely we have to go green, but I'm not sure if everybody is conscious of this challenge.
We're talking here about social responsibility. We will not stop the world, which gets more and more global every day. COVID-19 shows us how global we are, but we can leave a better planet to our children if we organize transport in a more conscious and responsible way, with a clear strategy, not being opportunistic, only cost-orientated and transactional. Together with our customers, we can achieve CO2 reduction goals. Intermodal supports reducing Brexit constraints. Swap and drop systems optimize loading processes. A higher payload will allow our customers to reduce the number of shipments. Short-term warehouse issues can be sorted out through this system. An additional advantage is the improvement of driver availability, as local drivers are easier to engage as long-distance ones, which offers them a better quality of life. It has been a huge support for our customers to cope with the Brexit nightmare. This was our picture of the intermodal world. Do not miss the train. Buy your tickets. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Enrique. We are now going to hear from Mr. Juha-Pekka Valitu from UPM Plywood. Valitu, UPM has been profiting from our intermodal network for several years. I'm curious to know, why is sustainability so important to UPM, and which advantages can you see when using the LKW Walter intermodal network?
Greetings from Finland. I'm coming from UPM, the biofuel company, which is producing paper, pulp, timber, plywood, biochemicals, biofuels from wood source material. We want to be socially responsible on all our operations. Thus, we signed a UN 1.5 degree target for CO2 emission reduction in 2018. One part of this target, to achieve the target, is to reduce CO2 emissions heavily from our supply chain. 65% on all operations and 30% from logistics. That is a great target, but we can achieve that, and one of the solutions for logistic area is to use intermodal solutions more and more in the future. LKW Walter has been providing those solutions for us, but in the future you could also provide a bit more, and lanes to be added more and more. We would be using those. Have a nice seminar. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to hear you are happy with our service. It is tough to remember all the intermodal connections LKW Walter offers, but the good news, you don't need to know them all. Whenever we are asked for quotes or receive tenders, we are always analyzing the routes and, when possible, offering both road, transport, and intermodal solutions. That way our customers can decide for themselves which modality and offer is better suited to their needs. Now last, but most certainly not least, Yasmin de Wachter and Samuel Alonso are going to present our digitalization efforts.
Good afternoon, Jasmine.
Good afternoon, Samuel. You've been working at LKW Walter for 15 years now. Can you comment on some of the digital changes you have experienced in this time and what represents digitalization for LKW Walter?
We've come a long way the last 15 years. GPS tracking was certainly one of the biggest changes. Now, we need to develop beyond simple positioning and tracking to drive greater efficiency. Digitalization opens up for greater planning, visibility, reactivity, and efficiency in our interaction with our customers and transport partners. We have realized that in order to continue being competitive and enjoy high levels of consistency and quality, we need to embrace this transformation.
What are the main influences in our industry in particular?
For the logistics sector, this new way of thinking represents a major challenge and requires a radical rethink. In order to reshape these processes, a personalized approach for each company is necessary. The key factor driving this movement for our customers, partners, and ourselves is transparency. transparency for planning, monitoring, and overall automation. In order to remain among the leading transport service providers in Europe, we aim to integrate ourselves fully into the information flow of the supply chain. Only by doing so, our value chain and the value chain of our customers can develop to its full potential. Jasmine, can you give us a brief overview on our strategy on this regard?
Aligning our systems and processes was our first step towards a fully digitalized concept. We focused on increasing efficiency levels for both internal and external future processes. In fact, how to approach the concept was the first challenge we faced a few years ago. We believed that by simply digitizing the old processes, the outcome would not change much. Therefore, business automation was our #1 condition. In order to reduce the complexity of the daily workload, we rely on improvements such as status messages, automated invoicing, automatic data input and output. With this setup, we have enabled our transport planners to focus on different tasks with a beneficial component for our customers and our transport partners. Secondly, we believe that transforming our processes is the main way to develop competitive advantages and generate benefit for all parties involved. As a result, the customer experience profits from the integration with all our partners, and it adds an end-to-end visibility. So, Samuel, can you specify which processes have been digitalized?
We work with 3 different pillars for the digital transformation at LKW Walter: the transport planning, the transport monitoring, and the business automation. Transport monitoring enables transport visibility and transparency, a key requirement by today's customers. Both road transports as well as multimodal shipments are included in our monitoring tool. Of course, this transparency changes as well as our business, so we will continue to further automate standard processes in the future. Transport planning delivers intelligent planning proposals based on big data. The optimal proposal matches an existing transport order to an available truck by calculating, among other parameters, the empty mileage and the safety equipment of the truck. The software considers also specific customer requirements such as the height, the type of the truck, the weight, just to name a few. With the correct data available, we can automatically organize the right equipment at the right time in the right place for our customers. Business automation, depending on the data received from our transport monitoring tool, we can predefine events that trigger automatic notifications for internal as well as for external purposes. For example, the event of a trailer leaving the train terminal triggers an automatic ETA calculation sent out to our customers, or even better, directly into the customer system. Already today, we have automated and configured loading notification, as well as the ETA of loading and unloading. Where do you think this road will take us, Jasmine?
We have already implemented a real-time visibility program and are now continuing to roll this out to our customers. I believe, however, that in the future we will hear a lot more about predictive supply chain management systems. Real-time visibility is all about transport monitoring in real time. Predictive supply chain management is a process optimization along the entire supply chain based on real-time data and continuously pre-calculated expected events. The aim is to focus on machine-to-machine communication based on artificial intelligence. It is crucial to everybody to use information integrated in its ERP systems and human interference. Let me give you an example of how it could look like. Imagine one of our plastic granulate customers wants to send a shipment from its plant in the south of France to Italy. The order comes into our system via the API. First, the system checks the feasibility based on agreed parameters, such as advance, notification, transit time, goods availability. The order is then automatically confirmed and the thrilling part begins. The tool allocates a truck to the transport, considering equipment time, remaining driving time of the driver, and overall transit time. Dynamic slot booking allows the truck to communicate with the ramp and book a loading slot. As a result, we can reduce the empty mileage and obtain a higher CO2 reduction. Furthermore, shippers and receivers can optimize their loading bay utilization. Thanks to a digital checkpoint in our driver app, our customer can be sure that before our driver arrives to the designated geofenced area, the driver knows the site requirements, the required safety equipment, and even watches a short last-mile instruction video. After loading, a status message is generated and a notification is triggered to the end customer. If needed, the shipment's data will arrive at the designated customs office. During the transport, artificial intelligence and algorithms continuously calculate a dynamic ETA on a wide variety of over 40 different parameters, like working time of the driver, weather, traffic, holiday seasons, historical data, etc. Finally, the delivery is acknowledged through the receipt of an ECMR.
Well, thank you, Jasmine, for that last exciting glimpse on what the future holds in store for us. We'd now like to hear from one of our largest clients, Electrolux. We're joined by Marcelo Marcal, Purchasing Director Logistics, Electrolux Europe. Marcelo, how has Electrolux benefited from LKW Walter's digitalization efforts?
Hello, my name is Marcelo Marcal and I'm responsible for purchasing logistics within Electrolux Europe. Today, I'd like to emphasize how the partnership with LKW Walter has helped Electrolux to pave the way towards our long-term logistics strategy. We believe that the true partner is the one that can create value to our organization. With LKW Walter, we've been working in many different ways of creating value. One is through a new business development approach. Two, enhancing our sustainability projects. And three, with innovation. Specifically on innovation, I'd like to emphasize the new era of transportation within Electrolux. With LKW Walter, we are having GPS-enabled vehicles that improve traceability, automatic loading slots helping us to improve planning activities, and with the adoption of electronic CMR, we are not only improving speed, but we are also eliminating paper in our transactions. Now, that to me is true value creation.
Thank you for your comments, Marcelo. These are some exciting changes that are taking place. Everyone in the supply chain, from the drivers to our customers, will benefit greatly from the processes that will be optimized and digitalized. Performance will improve, quality and safety will be even higher, and costs will be lowered for all parties.
No doubt. I'd like to recap on the three main topics discussed today. Sustainability should not be viewed as a cost. There are tremendous opportunities that operating in an environmentally conscious manner offers. LKW Walter has been at the forefront of developing sustainable transport solutions since the early 80s. Alternative fuels and electric vehicles will surely help to lower emissions, but meaningful savings from these changes are not economically viable and in some cases not even available at the moment. Real CO2 reduction can, however, be achieved by shifting from road transport to intermodal. LKW Walter's vast network of rail and short sea connections means customers can lower CO2 emissions and save on shipping costs. By switching heavy cargo from road to intermodal, cost savings can be considerable. Furthermore, these changes also mean fewer trailers on your loading yard. As a matter of fact, up to 13% fewer trailers, as higher payloads of up to 29 tons are available in some countries. Finally, LKW Walter is now offering real-time visibility to their customers. Additionally, predictive supply chain management and other digitalization efforts will help streamline processes and lower costs for all stakeholders.
Our audience certainly has many questions and comments surrounding these topics. We welcome you to join us for the live interaction with our staff and Professor Iskan. That concludes our company session today. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.